Three, two. Oh, hello, we're recording. Jesus, that went straight away. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And you lot probably heard the intro, what I normally do before. And welcome to, if you're watching this, I know it's a little bit flickery and all that. I'm trying something new. And also, I forgot to do this. There we go. Oh my God, that's made my face even worse. I'm going to get rid of this. Hold on. You guys listening or watching, this is, yeah. It turned painful. Let's get rid of it. I'm going to try something new, and because I want to do some background and do some things. But welcome to the F1 podcast. It has been a while since we've seen you guys. We've got a lot to discuss in this. Connor will be with us in a minute. But before we get into anything, what I would like to say is thank you to all the views. This was one of our most watched podcasts last week. Building up to Imola, not as all time, but on the Formula One, it was one of the most watched that we've done in a very long time. So thank you guys ever so much for joining us. We don't have any more Robbo's Gobcast F1 page. I decided that trying to do about 4 or 5 different Twitter pages become very difficult. So I decided to put all of it in one place. The wrestling, NFL. We've got an announcement coming very soon of a new show that we are creating at the moment. That should be with you in a couple of weeks' time. But we're just going through the bits and pieces, a little bits here and there, moving forward, going on. But don't forget, yesterday we released a new podcast, a wrestling podcast, which was one of my favorite ones I've ever done, where we fantasy booked WrestleMania 38. There was some rules, there was some stipulations, there was little bits and pieces here, but it was a lot of fun. You could see Gulam literally did no prep for it, which then, by the way, it took me an hour to try and prep because I was getting, and then I still changed. So you could go check that out. We are building up to the game for this weekend against Norwich tomorrow. When you listen to this for the Reading podcast, where we will be talking about the predictions we did over the past month. Adam will be on to discuss everything as well with Ryan and with Matthew. Matthew's going to be doing a lot more bigger role on this podcast because of his uni work. And don't forget as well that when we did Instagram Live on Sunday with Adam and with David, we talked a lot about stuff that what I want to do for this channel in general. I want to put this out to people that for uni work, for anything that they need to do, they can use our channel to publish what they need to do within reason. We're not going to be stupid about what we're going to publish, but within reason, if they need to do a series about something, come and publish your work on here. I'm happy to listen to anyone that wants to do stuff as well, and moving forward. But it was a very frantic Imola. We are going to be talking about Imola. We're going to be talking about the Miami deal. We're going to be talking about the sprint races. That's got a lot of mixed reviews I've seen over the internet. And then we're going to go through our predictions, what we predicted, what our predictions were, why we predicted them, and then we will go for that. And then we will build up to the Portuguese Grand Prix this weekend, where we will be discussing that. But as you can see to the left of me, or right of me, whatever way you're looking at this, on my screen is there. He's not in the woods anymore. He has an office. And look, I'm not being funny. Look how good looking he looks. It's bringing it down.
I think it was the light that was doing me no justice whatsoever.
But how are you anyway?
Yeah, not too bad. As you sort of mentioned, we've moved house since the last one, which has been it's taken months, just through loads and loads of different reasons and genuine threats of physical violence against me. So it's been quite a it's been quite interesting.
You know what? We need to do a story time. One day we will do a podcast of a story time of your experience. I've heard some of it, and it is probably some of the most it's more entertaining than EastEnders. Let's put it that way.
So yeah, it's been good, but we're here, we're settled, and yeah, got an actual space to use now. So making the most of it.
So, shall we get into Miami first?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Miami has been given a 10-year contract starting 2022. They're keeping the same amount of races as they're doing this year. So it looks like maybe Imola or someone else is going to miss out on it. It has been said before in a press conference years ago or a few years ago where they asked the drivers if they could pick a race anywhere they wanted, where would they do it? Lewis Hamilton's answer was Miami. So
I
the
can't believe he
King,
didn't say Reading
no,
or Folkestone or
you
somewhere
imagine
else.
him trying to get around the potholes around it.
Be brilliant.
Trying to get the finishing line is Medeski Stadium.
Yeah, and they're just coming up Biscuit Way. It hasn't really got a good ring to it, has it?
To go around the corner, up Biscuit Way.
Yeah.
Right. So Miami. I wanted Miami because, as people, if you know from the NFL podcast, I am very much a massive Miami Dolphins. I also keep an eye out for Miami Heat fan. From that, it's good for me because hopefully one day I'll get to fly out to Miami and do two things at once, F1 and NFL. So what did you make of it and what did you think of this?
I think it was one way again. It goes with a bit of where the money is as well, doesn't it? And whether or not they've listened to the drivers or whether or not the drivers knew a little bit more than they've let on, I think it's a good thing though, isn't it? I mean, what is the current American Grand Prix? I'm not too sure what happens to Texas as to whether or not that stays or Austin.
Well, it has been said that they want to keep it.
That is a great event.
Yeah.
Like, they pull all the stops out for it, so you'd hope that they'd keep that. They love it. It will just be interesting to see motor racing in like the north part of Central America, because obviously motor racing in America is NASCAR and is Texas and the South and sort of all around there, Indianapolis and what have you. So with it being in a different part of the country, and speaking to someone who knows very little about a lot of American racing anyway, to an outsider and a Formula One fan, to me, that's what comes out from it. That it will be interesting to see how much sort of buy-in it gets. But it's a great thing. You can see it now. It's almost a bit Monaco-esque, isn't it?
Yeah. It seems to be that they're using the Hard Rock Hotel as the Hard Rock Stadium, as the main focal point. And to be honest, I think if you're looking at it as a business-wise and for money-wise, Miami is a place that is...
Everyone knows, don't they?
Wealthy.
If you say it's one of those cities where if you say the location, you immediately get sort of in your mind's eye whether or not it's like Grand Theft Auto type, like neon lights and nightclubs, or whether or not it's Miami Vice, or whether or not like whatever it might be. Everyone has got a view immediately of what it is like there, and I think it will be fantastic. Like the marketing around it will be brilliant. The teams will do great work around that when they get there. I think it will be a really fun race.
Did you see McLaren's poster of announcing? Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be a great one to go to, because, like you say, you'd make a proper week of it, and whatever, you try and tie something else in. But I think it would be great. The track does look good as well. I think they've listened to the drivers' complaints about other tracks, and I think that they've sort of taken that on board. So let's see what it brings.
It's going to be interesting going from there. And also, it probably goes to show that if Lewis Hamilton says that something's going to be good, they all start looking at it and go for it.
Interestingly, he wants to race there. He's only got a 1-year deal at Mercedes, so if he wants to race there, he's going to have a new contract.
I think he'll probably do an additional year. We'll talk about the race in a minute, but there's a certain driver who I can't see being there next season.
No.
But we'll get into that. Sprint races.
I don't get I love watching Formula 2, and we'll watch that of a Sunday morning and a Saturday morning as well, and catch it when I can. I don't see why it's so controversial, if I'm honest. I was reading the replies to it, and people are going, we don't want this. And I was like, what? I can see more racing, more competitive action over the weekend. Why? What is the downside to it? I get it might be that it needs a bit of tinkering regarding maybe there should be reverse grids, and like they do in F2, where the
Yeah.
top 10 in the sprint race then start pole to 10th reversed in the feature race. So it could be there are some bits like that, but back to these where you
Can I
don't. If you
also
do,
say as well that it's fucked up our predictions as well, because I don't know how to do a graphic for the sprint race. This is going to make
like who qualifies for the sprint race and then who wins that, and then I don't know.
So this is the new
double points for that weekend.
Yeah, we might have to. We might have to. So basically, what the FIA and F1 have said is they're going to test it out on 3 races, a new structure, 3 race weekends this season. So they haven't said which ones it's going to be just yet.
No.
So the layout of it's going to be is Friday morning or afternoon. It's going to be practice 1. And then the Friday afternoon is going to be qualifying, the same qualifying as they do right now, where they have Q1, Q2, and Q3, which will format the grid for the sprint race qualifying. P2 will be done on the Saturday, and on the Saturday afterwards, it will be a 100-kilometer race that sets the grid for Sunday's Grand Prix, and then the normal race distance, run the full race the normal way that they do it on the Sunday.
It sounds complicated when you say it like that, because it's something that we haven't done before, but what's the harm in trying it? My only concern is they try it at the wrong circuits. It needs to be tried at the circuits where we'll fall asleep. So obviously Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Russia would be another good one to test it at, because not a lot happens there. And I don't know if Monaco would have been a good one, because
Monaco is one of those races that I think is good for the history, but it's boring to watch as a race.
That's what I mean. So if Hamilton starts, because let's be honest, it's going to be Hamilton, Max are going to be starting.
Yeah,
they'll get pole, and then if they don't do the reverse grid, does a lot change type thing. But if you were to reverse grid it, Max and Lewis in 9th and 10th at the start of a feature race would actually be quite entertaining. They've got to cut through and let's see what you're made of. So I'm just of the opinion, maybe I'm pretty laid back, and maybe I'm a bit of a take things at face value and should ask a bit more on it. But for me, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? You're trying it. If it doesn't work, at least you've tried it. But if it doesn't work, then you can tinker it a little bit.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I said on the podcast, not on the podcast, on Twitter the other day, said, why not try it? Why, if they don't change it, then we're going to get the same results every time. At the moment, it's cool to have 2 people at the top of the race. But you look at what happened at Imola, and we'll get into that. Loads of stuff happened. Yeah, that's one race. We've got other 23 races that we know sometimes are not going to happen. So why not spice some of the races? Don't have to do it every circuit. Don't have to do it every time, but do it at certain ones that need that little bit of extra oomph.
Well, also, you've got the fact that people will watch it on a Friday. I can't remember the last time that I actually watched practice on a Friday, like religiously wanting to watch it. It's been on, and sometimes when you're working, you've got it on the telly in the corner type thing. But I don't sit and think, right, I'm going to really pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that for a long time.
No, it spreads the weekend out a little bit more, and it will I think it will get more engagement. But well, let's wait and see once they've done it. My only concern is they do it at what could be perceived as the wrong circuits.
Yeah, they have to.
They want it to promote excitement, overtaking, and all of that. So that would be my only worry about it.
Looks like Connor might not be joining us. I've messaged him, nothing yet. So we're just going to get into everything and just carry on. And if he turns up, doesn't. If he doesn't, then he gets deducted points.
Yeah, definitely. 10 points.
Now, how many points is he on at the moment?
I don't know, but it'll be all of them, I'd guess.
Yeah. 100%. Just to be an arse. Right, qualifying. Let's get into Imola. Hamilton, Perez, Max Verstappen were the top 3 on pole, with Charles, Gasly, Ricciardo, Norris, Bottas, Ocon, and Stroll in the top 10. And then you had Yuki Tsunoda that got a DNF for crashing out, with the bottom 2 of Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. What did you make of qualifying? Was there any surprises for you?
No, I think seeing Perez beat Max was a bit of
Yeah.
a surprise, because we know Max is just on it. But obviously qualifying was very different conditions to the race. So what you then see, what we then saw in the race, it just blew. And I do stand by my comment last week of that Imola is generally a boring track.
Yeah.
There isn't a great deal that happens. It's generally a procession,
So
unless
happy
you
it
go
rained.
there. Yeah, unless you go there in April and it's hammering down with rain, in which case you get a borderline,
Do you know
maybe
what
not
I found
classic.
quite
Is
fascinating as well? Was not only did it rain, but people's gardens was looking over the track.
yeah, yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's such a. I think I said last week we went on a sort of driving tour of Italy a few years ago, and you do literally, you're driving along sort of the equivalent of A and B roads, and you're just there, but on the. It's not like Silverstone where it's a massive thing and it's sort of a big thing
Yeah.
is made. You sort of stumble across it, and you oh hello, there's a big tower there, and that's where we're here type thing. So, and it's a very it's a very sort of communal area, because it's a park as well, so people are just wandering around.
So
but yeah, what a race start.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, we should
Let's
do,
get
shouldn't
into
we?
it. Right. So I'm going to break down certain bits and pieces, because there's quite a lot to go through. So race starts. Verstappen overtakes Hamilton and Perez straight away. Got off the line ridiculously good.
How does that happen?
I don't know. He went off like a lightning.
It was almost like you could argue he obviously didn't, but you could almost, it's like he's jump started or something. Like, how is he?
Do you remember when Bottas did that?
Yeah.
Did that in one of the races, and Sebastian Vettel just said, "Look, that can't be real. You can't have done it like that."
But I think it obviously goes back to his skill of being able to balance the clutch and the throttle, and to be able to get the car to get that grip and get away was phenomenal. It was like he had a jump start.
Yeah, it literally was.
Do you think he touched Hamilton?
I'm gonna say yeah, because
I knew you'd say that.
Yeah,
I was going to say no.
yeah, I was gonna say yeah, because look, we talk about the racing line. There's a racing line, but then at the same time, you have to give all due respect as well. At the same time, you can force them off to try and give yourself an advantage. Yes, that's fine, but it's gonna come back at you and look at you, make you look like a dick. So for me, I thought he could have given Hamilton a lot more room than what he did, but I understand why Max did it. I'm not saying that he should have been penalised. I think it should have been a penalty of like maybe like a 5-second pit stop penalty. I don't know, but I understand why there wasn't any punishment either.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But Latifi had an excellent qualifying. Started at 14th, who you predicted would have an excellent.
I saw that and I was like, here we go. Here we go. He's got him into Q2. He's flying around. I had my feet up and I was like, this is made for it. Like Mazepin could even finish the race and I'd still be able to make an argument for the
Do you know what the thing was? Is I watched it and I went, Yuki Tsunoda's crashed in qualifying. No. But so yeah, had an excellent qualifying. He then spun himself off. He then went back onto the track and then steered himself, which for once wasn't his fault, into Mazepin, who then made a crash. And then a safety car come out. I think it was after the first lap.
It was. So if anything, I think Latifi does deserve like
a participation trophy.
Yeah, like he made that race what it was, and he crashed into Mazepin, which should be like that should be a point in itself, really. That if someone directs their car at, but no, that was just a calamity, wasn't it? That just was.
He went from bad to worse, didn't he?
It shows how delicate the conditions are, though, doesn't it? In that you have someone like Max, who obviously considerably better driver, that just goes from like a rocket, and then there are other people who just can't get it to work. I mean, Mick.
Now, that's what I was going to go on to. Mick Schumacher spun when there was nothing around him by the pit lane, which then they had to then shut the pit lane, and he couldn't come in to change his front wing for I think it was about 3 laps. because of that. But I want to talk about his engineer. I don't know whether you heard it or saw it, but when Mick was going, the engineer actually was superb in the way that he calmed Mick down, and I was like, that's brilliant. That was amazing what he did.
They were treating him like the driver that he is, which is a new driver to Formula One, who's made a mistake on his own. Because what you don't want in that situation is Schumacher then going, right, I've got to do that, and then he just crashes 10 laps later because he's trying too hard to make up for it. You'd like to think that, and I think that is obviously what is coming across, is that they want to develop them, and what they want is, they know they're not going to win a race. They want to finish in the top, I don't know, they want to finish 18th, don't they? That's where they want to get to. They want to beat Williams.
They want to get a point. I think that's their main aim.
That's it. And they know they're not going to win. So calming down, there have been races before. I think it might have been America in Indianapolis years ago, where only like 6 cars finished. And there are situations like that where you can just get your head down and get a point. But I agree with you on that. I thought the engineer was fantastic.
Yeah, Connor's just messaged me going, could you please invite me? I'm having an absolute meltdown. Could you please send me the meeting ID and the pass? Should I send it to him, or should I just not let him come in so I could just deduct points? I'd be nice. I'll deduct points for lateness. I think that's the way we do it. Right, I'm going to pause the podcast and then we'll be back with him, hopefully. And we're back. By the way, there will be punishment coming towards Connor nearer the end of this podcast for turning up late on this. So basically, so far, we've discussed Miami. We've discussed certain bits and pieces. We're just talking about the race now. And then we will go on from there and go on to Portugal. I know that you haven't got that much time left yet, Niall, so we're going to try and go through this as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But this is the Robbo's Gobcast, and it's never efficient, so this could be fun. So yeah, as I was saying, Mick Schumacher spinning out, then Perez spun out during the safety car, which he then tried to overtake people and then got himself a penalty. It's like
they all just decided to just fuck about.
They all just went, I'm bored. I'm stuck behind a safety car.
I think after Latifi smashed into Mazepin, they just thought, we should just do what we want. Here he is.
Hey! He's wearing a turtleneck. He's going to get deducted points just for wearing a fucking turtleneck.
It's not. It's a jumper.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
It's a jumper.
I think there should be points deducted for that being a personalised referee. And there's nothing wrong with being a referee, but for the purpose of these insults, you should be deducted points for a personalised referee jumper.
Yes. Oh, Connor, we're going to have fun with this. So I'm going to ask you both, what did you think of AlphaTauri's management of Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda? I thought, personally, they had a shocker of a weekend, in my opinion. The way that Gasly was slowly going down because of his tyres, but then they still weren't changing them.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall with things like that, because you're absolutely spot on. It's one where you're watching the race, like screaming at the telly to a degree, going, you can see what is going to happen if you just let this carry on. Why are you not doing it? Why? Like, were they hoping for another safety car or something, and maybe they could make some time up? Or I don't know. I think they'll look back and think maybe they gambled. Maybe it was just a case that they thought, look, let's gamble and see. Because if a safety car had come out, they'd have been quids in and they'd have looked like geniuses. Yeah, but
they don't.
It wasn't to happen. There have been a few like that, though, with the top teams as well. It's happened with Mercedes last year. I think they've had a couple of sort of lapses like that. Where
I thought the way that they treated Alex Albon as well, and some of the strategies last year was shocking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that was one of the main. People say they gave him enough opportunities to do stuff, and I said this on the podcast last year as well. I don't think they gave him the enough equipment to do right. They weren't giving him a good strategy. They weren't giving him the right things to try and help, and I think that really let Albon down. Yeah. Moving forward, Connor, I'm going to go to you and ask you this: what did you make? In the end, it turned out really, really well. But when the team radio come over from McLaren and going, Daniel, move over. Norris is coming through. He says he's quicker than you. What did you make of that? Did you think that was a good idea for them to do, or do you think Daniel should have just gone, excuse me, the radio's breaking up. I can't hear anything.
Well, I mean, like you said, it turned out to be a good plan by McLaren. But I also think that it takes it if you're asked to move over, it's sort of like it's a decision you have to make, even though your team have said that you have to move over because Norris is faster. That of course you want to follow your team, but then I think it was something. I think it was last season. There was a team. I can't remember who it was, and one driver got asked to move over so another one could come through. And then someone sat back and sort of went, "No, I had it last week. He can have it this week." And I think that's what Ricardo was sort of thinking in his head, going like, "Shall I move over? Shall I do it for Norris?" And obviously, it worked out well in the end. But I don't think Ricardo would have wanted to move over.
I think what would have been interesting was they positioned it. The team radio was very carefully worded, which was Lando thinks he's got more pace with you. We want to see what he can do in clean air. And I think what would have been interesting is, I know we don't hear all of the team radio, but I wonder if Norris hadn't pulled away, whether or not they would have said, right, you've had your chance, let Daniel back through. He had the position, so you can do that. But he won't forget that. You're spot on, Connor. He'll be thinking about that in the next race of going, well, am I number one or am I number two here? Because Norris has got a bit of a nasty streak in him, I think. He does come across like, one of the, it's a bit like Connor in a way. He's young, he knows his stuff around like social media and what have you. He does all of that. He's from a different, I sound so old, he's from a different generation.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is.
But I think he's got a real, I don't know if you have got a nasty streak, Connor.
He's
Norris,
just a massive dick, so it's fine.
But I think he has got a nasty streak that if you push him too much, he'll force you out and that. So,
okay, then, quick question for both of you before we get on to the big things that happen: is Vettel and Alonso got a poor car, or are they just crap?
Nah, it's the car for now. I think we said last week, if it takes a while. I don't, for instance, Alonso especially, I don't think, maybe Hamilton, maybe Max, I don't think anyone else could do any better than him in that car.
It's funny because Ocon finished 9th, where Alonso finished 10th. Vettel finished 15th, but he DNF'd, I think, with the retirement of the car. But Stroll finished 8th.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think it's... From Vettel, maybe he's had a funny old year, hasn't he? But I still think he hasn't forgotten how to drive a car. I think Connor said last week that the cars suit the drivers and it takes a bit of time to get them there. At this moment, that is the position he's in. I don't think he's just all of a sudden become a bad driver over the last 2.5 years.
So we saw a very... Yeah, go on, sorry.
I think I'm pretty sure I've said this before, back when we were leading up into the new season. We were speaking about Alonso coming back to F1, and I think I sort of said that I think this season Alonso has got to get used to a different style of racing, because you've got new drivers, you've got new cars, you've got new things on the cars, and I think, like I said, he has to get used to the car, but also he's got to get used to the new style of racing.
Yeah.
And I think I said it's going to take him around half a season, and then we should see how he does in the back end of this season.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Right. We saw a very rare mistake by Lewis Hamilton spinning off, and he's gone all the way back to 9th. Very rare. I don't think we've seen a mistake by Hamilton
Well, it's becoming a little bit more common because I remember us saying that he spun in testing, didn't he?
Yeah, but if
And
you're
we
thinking race wise,
but I think when that happened, we were like, Hamilton doesn't just spin, whether or not it's practice or qualifying or testing, he doesn't spin. And it's weird that he's had two, because he's so good. When these things happen, you notice them more than any other driver. But yeah, that was just he's gone again.
Look, he's crying. He's crying about all the points deductions or whatever's going the punishment he's going to have.
Can't bear Hamilton spinning.
My internet connection is unstable.
Oh, here we go. It's like FIFA when someone rage quits. It's like, oh, it was my internet. Right, let's get on to the most important point: the crash, the big crash that gave a red flag, which was between Bottas and Russell. We've heard all of the takes since then. We've all watched the footage ever so much. Whose fault was it?
Do you want to go, Connor, or
I'm gonna say, well, I didn't see the race because I was working, but from the videos I saw on Twitter and Instagram, I think it looks like it was Bottas. To me, it looks like Bottas was off to the left, and then Russell tried to go round, and as Russell tried to go round, Bottas sort of come back onto the track, and I think his back tyres made contact with Russell's.
So I think,
but
Russell.
I can't be too sure.
See, I like Russell a lot, and I'm not Bottas's biggest fan. I think he should be doing better. But I think Russell was just going for a gap that was never going to be there. And going into that corner in those conditions and what have you, I don't think he was ever going to make that stick. Bottas, certainly, he had the racing line. He had the right to put his car where he wanted to. And you're right, Connor, he did drift over a bit, but I think that was the line that you would take there. And I think Russell was just on a hide into nothing. I don't think that gap was ever going to remain that he could get through.
I think that one of the big talking points of that is how is a Williams car overtaking a Mercedes car at any point in the track? I think that's one of the things that, and I said this at the start of the podcast, I can't see Bottas being at Mercedes next year.
Well, they've both got the same engine, I guess, haven't they? They've both got Mercedes.
Yeah, they got the both same engine, but
there's a lot more zeros at the end of Mercedes research and development budget than Williams.
I reckon that's going to be a swap.
I could see Bottas going back to Williams. I think he would. I don't think he would miss that. I'd love to see Russell and Hamilton again, but in Hamilton's car again. Sorry, or it'd be Bottas's car, wouldn't it? But I don't know. It all depends if Hamilton stays on next year, doesn't it? There's so much.
I think he'll probably do that one more. I think it'll be that one more to do in the new cars that everyone's going to be getting. The way everything's going to be different, the new everything.
If Hamilton gets the world championship this season, I think that's him done. I can't see him going in next season if he gets another one this season.
No, I was about to say the exact opposite, which is if Max wins the championship, Lewis will 100% race again next year to prove.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he wouldn't go out on he's gambled this year, I think, by racing, and I think he's got a fight with Max, which is brilliant. Just hope it continues. But yeah, I don't think Bottas will be there next year.
Can we just talk about as well that Bottas really struggled throughout that race, and Hamilton was in 9th? And can we just talk about the absolute shithousery Hamilton did to go from 9th and to finish 2nd?
Yeah, and the overtake that he did as well.
He was 22 seconds behind Max, but for him to go from 9th to 2nd was ridiculous. So the final standings was Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris, Leclerc, Sainz, Ricciardo, Gasly, Stroll, Ocon, and then Alonso in the top 10. Should we go through everyone's predictions and see how we all did?
No, I don't reckon we should. Actually, no. Maybe for this one, actually, we should, because
Yeah, I think we should, because I fucking smashed it. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't believe that. You should have put a tenner on that.
Oh, no, I was so angry I didn't. Right, so in qualifying, Niall, you went for Hamilton, Verstappen, and Perez. You got Hamilton right. Connor, you went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. You got Hamilton right. I went for Hamilton, Verstappen, and Norris. Norris would have got that if his lap didn't get deleted. Just saying it now, he would have got that, and it was no. In the race predictions,
Was that for the last corner?
yeah, one of the last corners. It was the second to last, I think it was.
Yeah.
In the race prediction, Niall, you've had a shocker, mate. You went for Hamilton, Verstappen, and Perez. You did got no points for that.
I think we need points for if your driver's in the top 3, and then you like get 1 point if they're in the top 3, and like 2 points if you get the exact position right.
You're just trying to get points to yourself. Connor, you went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris. You got 1 point because you copied me and said Norris. I went for Verstappen, Hamilton, and Norris. I got all 3 right.
Brilliant.
Just saying. And then at the special vote that we do now as well, where we get predictions of who we think would be driver of the day. Niall, I think you would have won it if he didn't crash on the first lap. Because qualifying, you went for Nicholas Latifi. Connor, you went for Nikita Mazepin. And
he finished the race.
Yes. I went for Yuki Tsunoda, who finished 12th overall from last place, which was good. So the voting results were this on Twitter. There was a lot of people going, why are you doing this? Why are you picking these 3? I said, well, we can't change our predictions. We'll deal with it. So in last place was Latifi with 19%.
See, that's outrageous.
I didn't come last.
He made that race.
He did. He made it.
And he crashed into Mazepin. He should have made points for that.
Excuse me. In second place was Nikita Mazepin with 31%, and the winner was Yuki Tsunoda, who got 50% of the votes.
Fair play.
Also helps that at that point I had 4 accounts and they all voted for Yuki Tsunoda. So the current score, last place at the moment, is Niall, who is on 2 points.
That's unbelievable.
I know. In second place is myself, who is on 7 points, because I've had a fucking great weekend, I tell you. And in first place is Connor with 8. But...
Oh, no.
But because...
Oh, no.
20 minutes before we started recording, he told us that he would be late and he would be here at, what was it, 20:30? No, 20 past, he said, on...
I said 25 past.
Yeah, you said 25 past. You didn't turn up till around about 22. So, and also at the same time, Niall's a busy man and he's got a child as well. He's got things to do. You disrupted him, and we're over his time as well that we needed him for. And we've got to do the predictions. Connor, because of that, I am deducting you. Right, so the difference between you and Niall is 6.
I was going to say a point for each minute he was late.
Right, fuck off, because that means you overtake me. So fuck off.
No, I'm below you.
Yeah, hold on. I'm helping you out, so shush.
Yes, we're putting on minus 8.
So
he's found a way to cheat, and it's only like the second race of the season, and he's already found a way to cheat.
Yes, yes. What you understand now, Connor, is if I find a loophole or find a way of killing people so I can win it, I'm using it. So I am currently 5 points in front of Niall. So, Niall, you will be gaining 5 points. So now me and you are on 7. But I don't think that's tough enough punishment for Connor. Taking 5 points away.
Yes, it is. It is. No, that's it.
No. Connor, hold on. You're interrupting the host here, which, by the way, if you carry on, I will deduct more. I'm happy to put you in the minus if you carry on, Sunshine.
Theoretically, the
you're
work
still
I was
talking,
doing
Sunshine.
went towards my it went towards my GCSE grade. Therefore,
fuck
I
your
had to have done
GCSE.
it.
This podcast, you should be here on time. You're going in the army, boy. You know, if you're not in time for something in the army, you're getting a fucking backhand. Right. Connor, I am, because you made me get angry and get really irate, deducting you 9 points. You're on -1.
What?
You are on -1. I'm sorry.
No. I object to that.
Well, you could take it up with my lawyer.
You'll have to go and see the stewards after the race.
Yeah, we'll go. What I'll do is you either make me look at it, and that will deduct more points, or you take it on the chin and go, okay, Mark, you are the wise one. I believe in everything you say. You are the greatest thing that's ever happened to this podcast. Not that a lot of people on Twitter will say that, but I will let you say that. If you say that, then I will make you go on 0. I won't make you go on -1.
That's 1 point's not going to make a difference to me.
Disappointed.
It's fine because in the next 2 weeks I'll get 12 points anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, by that time I will still find another way of cheating, so don't worry about that. Right, let's get into our predictions, shall we? Qualifying. Niall, I'm going to go to you first. I want to hear your top 3, starting with who you think's going on pole and then going down.
Yeah, I'm going to go. It's horrible because you want to do things to get it right. I'm going Max, Lewis, and Valtteri. Max on pole, Lewis second, Valtteri third.
Sticking with Bottas going third.
He's got to come good at some point. And it's like putting a pound of ready to win every week. At some point, they're going to do it.
It's like watching Pusscast. It's like watching Pusscast. At some point, you're going to do something good and we're going to go, that's why we pay the money for you.
Yeah.
Right, Connor.
Wigan last season was that moment.
That was about 2 million out of the 8 that we paid. Connor, who's going to be pole, second and third?
Hamilton, Verstappen, Lando.
You're a prick. I'm going to go for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez. I think that's the way it's going to go. Connor, I'm going to go to you first. What I want to hear from you is I want to hear who you think is going to finish third.
Um,
The longer you take, I'll deduct more points. No, joking, I won't. I won't.
I'm going to stick with Norris.
You're going to say Norris is going to start. Who's going to finish second?
Verstappen and then Hamilton first. Top 3 for qualifying and top 3 for race the same.
Portugal was quite mental, if I remember last year as well. Wasn't Kimi Raikkonen like 10th at one point?
It's because it rained, did it? It was like light rain or something, and the
didn't only 10 cars finish or 12 cars finish or something like that.
Yeah, there was loads of red flags and all of that.
Quite looking for this. Niall, I'm going to go to you.
I'm going with the end of the Max and Lewis domination, so I'm going Max third and a Mercedes 1-2. So I'm going to go Max, Valtteri, Lewis.
Who you going second?
Yeah, exactly. Valtteri. Bottas has got to come well at some point.
Listen, I'm not taking 5 points away and give them to you for you to throw them away on fucking Bottas. Right. We need you to actually come on.
He's got to, at some point.
He's just deducted points off me to try and give you an advantage, and then you predict Valtteri Bottas to finish second in the race.
Okay.
He's trying to help you here.
I'll tell you what, if you're that confident about it, if Bottas finishes second, I get 10 points for that. Because you're both very...
All right, then.
No.
If Bottas finishes second, then you can take all of the points that Connor wins.
So, what, 1?
Please, can I change Bottas to second? Why is this just nick all my points?
Yeah.
Why,
This is
why
what
is this
happens
just deducting
when you
my
turn
points
up
and then
late.
taking all my points?
If we were in a room, I'll throw a fucking pen at your head for turning up late. Right. I'm going third. I'm going to go for Norris. I think he's going to do it again. Second, I'm going to go with Verstappen. And I think the person who's going to get the first ever 100 wins in Formula One will be Lewis Hamilton. Right. One last thing before we go and finish up. Last week, we all did our predictions on who we think will be the surprise of the race. Someone who's going to do the most improvements, or someone who's going to stand out the most, or someone that we all like and they will probably just get the vote because we like them. So who are we going for? That's obviously not going to be the top 2 or top 3 or anyone like that because they're normally, but who's going to be in the bottom or the middle up there, going to be the surprise of the Portuguese Grand Prix? Connor, I'm going to go to you first, mate.
I need to find out how to say his name. Give me 2 seconds.
Do I deduct your points because you can't fucking say the name?
I'm wondering what name it's going to be.
Yeah, I know. I'm really fascinated now.
Sonoda, maybe? Giovinazzi?
I think it is going to be Antonio Giovinazzi.
Hold on, isn't he being kicked out of P1? Isn't Callum Ayer taking his place in P1 this weekend?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Gio.
Yeah, so that means he's going to come back for P2, P3, and the race, and qualifying and the race, and he's going to be fucking sick.
No.
So that's fine.
Right. This is your chance here to try and get extra points. Right. Think about.
I'm going to go for a driver.
Right. Well, don't go for someone who you like, because let's guess it. You've told Bottas is going to do fucking well, right? And it's not. I'm trying to help you here to try and make a lead, because when Connor, I made a promise that this fucker will not win it after it because of his predictions.
I was literally about to say I'm going to go for a driver who I have an irrational hatred of, and I have no idea why I don't like him, and that is Esteban Ocon. I don't know what it is about him. I just cannot say. He's got a face that you want to hit with a hard compound tyre.
Right. Mine's Lance Stroll.
Yeah, he's got a face.
Yeah, I want to punch him.
Neil.
Who?
No, you should be kicked out the podcast for making that comment. That is absolutely disgusting.
For what? Sorry.
Ocon is one of the most lovable people in F1. He is one of the most lovable people in F1.
So Connor, what I caveated
that is an absolute disgusting comment.
What I caveated it with was it's an irrational hatred.
Pardon?
It's an irrational hatred, which means there is no rhyme or reason to it. No. It's wrong. It's irrational. Like he's never done anything. And I agree with you. He's a nice person, and he waited his time to get his drive, and we all saw his troubles on Drive to Survive and all of that sort of stuff. It's irrational. I don't know why. There's nothing against him. He's never done anything. I don't know what it is, but I can't stand the sight of him.
It's like me with Sam Bulldog.
Yeah, but no one likes Sam Bullock, so it's fine. I don't think there's anyone that likes Sam.
Connor, I'm going to go back to it, but before you start insulting people, you should not be wearing a referee's top.
VAR. Niall's done a dub. Right. So there.
I love you.
I
Really,
am never turning up late. I am never turning up late to a podcast again. Never.
Oh, I'll tell you what. By the way, you're on -1 for not saying I'm the greatest podcast person ever either as well. By the way, I'll give you one more opportunity.
That's fine.
One more opportunity, right, to say it, and I promise you I won't clip it. But if you just say now that me, Mark, you just say Mark is the greatest podcast host that's ever graced Reading FC podcasts and all others, then I will give you. It all depends on how well you deliver it.
that's deafening.
Oh,
That silence.
Are you going to say it, Connor, or are you not?
it's a very hard decision. I'm happy with -1.
All right, fuck you then, dickhead. So
yeah.
So let's run through it quickly. So in qualifying, Niall has gone for Verstappen to get pole, Hamilton and Bottas. In the race, he's gone for Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen. Connor has gone for, in qualifying, Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris. In the race, Connor has gone for Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris. I have, in qualifying, gone for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, and in the race, I've gone for Hamilton, Verstappen, and Norris. The driver of the day, we're predicting, Niall is predicted to be Ocon. Connor is going for Giovinazzi, and I have got. Oh, I didn't even say mine. I just realised. I just wrote it down. I'm going for Carlos Sainz.
Nice.
I think because he's improving a lot more, and he did really well last week as well. Finished 6th. Well, no, he's not in driver standards. He's 6th overall, so, and I think he's quite a good. He's improving more and more with that Ferrari as well, so I can see him doing quite well. So yes, that's it. Thank you guys ever so much for coming on. Niall, thank you ever so much for being here from the beginning. You are on 7 points now. Connor, you are on -1 for being late and being disrespectful to me and not saying that I'm the greatest. So yeah. But we and I'm on 7 points. So we will see you hopefully next week, if not the week after, where we will be reviewing this and what's happened at the Portuguese Grand Prix, any of the latest news as well. Don't forget that we have all the other podcasts as well coming your way. Don't forget, tomorrow, if you're watching this on the day, we've got a Reading FC podcast coming out, which is going to be a lot of fun. And go and check out all the other stuff that we do. There's a playlist for everything as well. Don't forget, you could go catch up on all the things if you want to. That would be very nice of you. And please go and smash that like button. Go and share. Go and tell your friends, tell your family. Share it on Instagram, Twitter. Give us a follow on there as well, so we can get more and more people interacting with our podcast. But apart from that, we will see you guys very, very soon. All love, all care, and bye for now.